When you walk alone in silence, you begin to hear everything, not just the sound of the wind brushing against the trees, but the voices inside yourself, the truth that often gets drowned out in the noise of this world. From the moment we enter this life, we begin searching for connection, for companionship, for someone to understand the unspoken parts of our being. We call them friends. From the moment we begin to interact with the world, we seek connection. Through smiles, gestures, and shared experiences. Yet what we often overlook is the intention behind those connections. Not all who approach us are driven by affection, respect, or genuine care. Many are drawn by their own hidden motives, by the value they see in what we can offer them rather than who we are as individuals. It might be our energy, our time, our influence, our peace of mind, or even our silence. These people don't always make their intentions obvious. In fact, they often come wrapped in warmth, speaking words that sound supportive, acting in ways that appear friendly, creating an illusion of loyalty and concern. But if we look closely, if we observe without being blinded by our need for validation, we begin to see the subtle clues. Human behavior reveals itself over time, especially in moments of adversity and discomfort. When everything is going well, when success surrounds us, many people show up. They congratulate, praise, and try to be part of the glow. But when hardship knocks, when circumstances darken and we have little to offer, most of them slowly fade away. This is the moment of truth. Because those who only came for the warmth will not stay for the storm. Their care was conditional. Their presence was temporary. And their words, though once comforting, now feel empty. The sad reality is that many individuals operate from a place of self-interest, and they learn how to mask it with charisma. They understand the language of empathy. They know how to listen, how to say the right things at the right time. But underneath all of that is a quiet calculation. They ask themselves, what can I get from this person? Not, how can I stand with them even when there's nothing to gain? This mindset turns relationships into silent contracts. Unspoken agreements where affection is traded for advantage, attention is exchanged for access, and loyalty is offered only while the benefits flow. It's not always malicious. Sometimes it's simply a reflection of human nature, the instinct to survive, to rise, to reach for comfort even at the cost of others. But if we are unaware of this, if we walk into every relationship with open arms and no discernment, we risk losing more than just our time. We risk pieces of our soul. We drain ourselves for people who wouldn't even hand us a drop of water in return. We open our hearts to those who only came to take, not to give. And over time, we become bitter, disillusioned, and detached. But none of this can be seen in the beginning. In the early stages, the smile feels real, the concern feels honest, and the connection feels strong. It's only after consistency fades, after effort disappears, after truth reveals itself through silence and absence, that we begin to see clearly. Those who once called us friend vanish without explanation. Those who once needed us no longer remember us. We realized then that the bond we thought we shared was only meaningful on our side. For them, it was temporary, a tool, a step, a resource. This is not a lesson that can be taught through words alone. It must be felt. And once felt, it changes the way we see the world. We no longer mistake closeness for care. We no longer accept every smile as sincere. We become slower to trust, more deliberate in our openness. Not because we are cold, but because we have seen what lies beneath the surface of false warmth. Most people come not because they love us, but because they love what we give them. And when the giving stops, so does the friendship. Loyalty is a powerful word. It carries the weight of commitment, of standing beside someone not just when it is easy, but especially when it is hard. But in the modern world, loyalty has become misunderstood. Many claim to be loyal, but their loyalty is tied to convenience. It lasts only as long as their needs are being met, as long as things are beneficial, as long as the relationship serves their purpose. The moment it becomes uncomfortable, the moment it no longer fits their desires, they walk away. They don't call it betrayal, they call it a change in priorities, a shift in life, a natural distance. But the truth is, it was never loyalty to begin with. Transactional relationships have become the norm. People connect not to give, but to receive. They measure their presence based on outcomes. If you are successful, they attach themselves to your light. If you are struggling, they detach silently. Their loyalty is tied to gain, to status, to comfort. And when you no longer provide those things, their loyalty fades like smoke in the wind. This kind of bond has no foundation. It cannot survive storms. It cannot endure silence. It cannot stand still when there is nothing left to offer. You will find that many people in your life love the version of you that gives. They love your helpfulness, your attention, your emotional strength, your support. But they rarely stop to ask what you need in return. They do not check on your exhaustion. They do not recognize sacrifice. Because in their mind, your role is to give. That is the unspoken agreement. And if one day you pause, if you dare to ask for the same effort you've been giving, they become distant. They make you feel like a burden. They tell you've changed, but you haven't changed. You've simply noticed the truth. True loyalty does not operate on conditions. It does not disappear when it is no longer rewarded. It is not based on what you can do, what you can offer, or how much you can endure. It is based on presence, on choosing to stay when it is easier to leave, on understanding that real bonds are not built through words or gifts, but through consistent, quiet acts of support. A loyal person doesn't just show up in celebration. They show up in silence, when everything is falling apart and nothing is beautiful. They don't need a reason to care. They just care. The painful part is that loyalty is often assumed. We give our hearts away under belief that others value the same principles. We believe that the love we offer will be returned. We believe that the people we protect will protect us too. But this is not always the case. And when the truth comes out, it is not loud. It is quiet. It is in the unanswered messages, the sudden coldness, the excuses that don't quite make sense. It is in the realization that when we were at our lowest, the ones we stood by were nowhere to be found. This is how we learn the difference between what is real and what is convenient. Convenient loyalty is conditional, shallow, and temporary. Real loyalty is rare, deep, and eternal. It does not announce itself with grand gestures. It lives in the small things, in remembering, in listening, in showing up even when there's nothing to gain. Once you understand this difference, your world changes. You stop chasing people. You stop expecting from those who have already shown you who they are. You begin to guard your time, your energy, your loyalty. Not out of bitterness, but out of clarity. Because giving your loyalty to someone who only sees you as a tool is not generosity. It is self-betrayal. Trust is one of the most sacred things a person can offer. It is not something to be handed out freely, nor is it something that everyone deserves. Yet many go through life opening themselves to anyone who shows them a little kindness, who speaks the right words, who pretends to care. We give people access to our thoughts, our emotions, our vulnerabilities without first observing whether they are worthy of holding that space. This kind of blind trust is not a virtue. It is a risk. A risk that, if taken with the wrong person, can cost you more than just pain. It can cost you your peace, your dignity, your sense of self. The danger lies in the illusion of familiarity. Just because someone has spent time with you does not mean they truly know you. Just because someone smiles at you does not mean they support you. Just because someone calls you their friend does not mean they will protect your name when you are not around. People are masters at performing roles. They learn how to act like they care, how to sound sincere, how to mirror your energy and reflect your words back to you in ways that feel comforting. But behind that performance, there may be manipulation, envy, or silent judgment. Trust is not just about believing what someone says. It is about observing what they do when they think you are not watching. It is about noticing how they treat others when there is nothing to gain. It is about sensing the energy they bring into your space, whether it uplifts or drains you. These are the subtle signs we often ignore because we are eager to connect. We want to believe the best in people. We want to feel safe. But safety doesn't come from giving everyone the benefit of the doubt. It comes from setting boundaries and honoring them without apology. The problem is not that people can't be trusted. The problem is that we trust too quickly. We share too much, too soon. We expose our scars to people who haven't even earned the right to hear our story. And then, when they walk away or turn against us, we feel betrayed. But the betrayal didn't start when they left. It started when we ignored the early signs. When we convinced ourselves that our openness would change them, that our honesty would inspire them to be loyal, that our presence would be enough to make them stay. True trust is built slowly. It is tested over time. It is shaped by consistency, not charm. You cannot know someone's heart through a few shared laughs or deep conversations. You know it by how they act when it's inconvenient to care. When standing with you costs them something. When defending you puts them at risk. Those are the moments that reveal what trust should be based on. Not surface-level connection, but proven alignment. And even then, even with time and observation, trust remains fragile. One lie, one act of disloyalty, one selfish decision can shatter what took years to build. That is why trust must be protected, not just given. It is not a door you leave open for everyone to walk through. It is a gate, and you are the guardian. You must decide who enters, how far they are allowed in, and whether they have the strength to walk beside you. Not just when it is bright and easy, but when it is dark and uncertain. This kind of discernment is not about living in fear. It is about living with wisdom. Because the more you understand the weight of trust, the more carefully you will place it. Not because people are all bad, but because not everyone is meant to hold what is sacred within you. Human beings reveal their true nature not through their words, but through their actions, especially in moments when you are either rising or falling. In times of difficulty, when you are broken, tired, or in pain, the people around you are tested in silence. You begin to see who shows up, not with loud declarations, but with quiet presence. They don't need to be asked. They sense. They feel. They understand. Their loyalty doesn't need explanation. It is visible in their willingness to stand beside you without judgment, without expectation. But just as challenges expose the real ones, so does success. When you begin to grow, to evolve, to accomplish things others only talk about, you trigger something in the people around you. Not everyone is comfortable with your rise. Not everyone will clap when you win. Some will smile in front of you, but feel uneasy behind closed doors. It's not because you've done something wrong. It's because your success reminds them of their own excuses, their own laziness, their own wasted time. Instead of being inspired by your progress, they begin to envy it. And envy, once rooted, starts to poison even the closest of relationships. You may start to notice subtle changes. Conversations that used to flow easily become awkward. Jokes begin to carry hidden jabs. The people who once supported your dreams start warning you not to aim too high. They pretend to be concerned, but what they're really afraid of is being left behind. The higher you climb, the more their insecurities begin to surface. They don't want you to fail, but they don't want you to succeed too much either. Because your elevation disturbs the balance. They were comfortable when you were on the same level. Now that you're above, it makes them question their own choices. In these moments, observation becomes your greatest strength. Pay close attention, not just to what people say, but to what they avoid saying. Do they congratulate you genuinely? Do they ask how they can support your journey? Or do they stay silent, vanish, or speak only about themselves when you share good news. Watch their eyes, not their mouths. Energy never lies. Jealousy has a subtle vibration, and if you're tuned in, you'll feel it. Some people won't even realize they're doing it. They'll tell themselves they still care about you. But deep inside, a battle is happening, a quiet war between admiration and resentment. True friends are those who stay close in your struggle and cheer the loudest in your success. They are the ones who don't compete with you because they are rooted in their own path. They don't feel threatened by your growth. They are proud of it. They want to see you shine, even if it means you shine brighter than they do. These people are rare. And when you find them, they deserve your trust, your time, your respect. But they must be found through awareness, not assumption. Because many wear masks. Many hide behind years of friendship, years of shared memories, years of smiles, only to reveal their true face when the light hits you more than it hits them. This is why it's important not to assume loyalty based on history. Time alone does not prove integrity. You must measure the people around you based on how they respond to your failures and your wins. Are they there when you are low, offering strength without conditions? Are they there when you rise, without comparing or trying to bring you back down? Do they speak of you with pride when you're not in the room? Or do they diminish your success to make themselves feel more comfortable? These are the questions you must ask quietly, internally, as you continue to grow in life. Because what's revealed in your pain and your power is more honest than anything you'll ever hear in comfort. Solitude has a way of teaching what company often hides. In the stillness of being alone, you begin to see the truth about who you are, what you value, and who has truly been adding to or taking from your life. In a world that constantly pushes people to be surrounded, to be social, to be connected at all times, choosing solitude is seen as strange. But solitude is not loneliness. It is clarity. It is the space where the noise of others fades and your own voice becomes louder. And within that space, you realize how many of the people you once called friends were merely filling silence, not bringing peace. False companionship is deceptive because it comes wrapped in familiarity. These are the people you've spent time with, laughed with, shared memories with. But time shared does not always equal trust. Laughter shared does not always equal loyalty. Many of these people are there not because they love you, but because it was convenient for them. They were comfortable in your presence. You provided something. Attention, validation, comfort, perhaps even distraction from their own lives. And the moment your energy began to shift, the moment you started protecting your time, valuing your peace, they began to fade. It is in your quiet moments that the truth begins to show. The phone rings less. The messages slow down. The people who once always seemed available now become busy. And this is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is a sign that the connection was never real to begin with. When you are no longer entertaining others, when you stop pouring into people who never refilled you, when you begin to grow silently, you outgrow the need for validation from those who never really saw you in the first place. False friends can only survive where access is easy. Once you put up boundaries, once you begin to say no, once you stop being a constant source of energy for them to feed on, they begin to feel discomfort. And rather than adjust themselves, rather than step up and meet you at the level of authenticity and support, they walk away. Some leave quietly. Some leave with drama. But they leave, and that is the gift. Because their departure clears the space for truth to enter. Being alone is not a weakness, it is a mirror. And in that mirror, you see yourself as you are, without the distortion of others' opinions. You begin to build strength from within, rather than borrowing it from the presence of others. You begin to enjoy your own company, value your own thoughts, and move through the world with more confidence. This internal grounding makes you less dependent on external approval, and as a result, more discerning about who you allow into your life. When you are comfortable in solitude, you are no longer afraid of losing people. You are no longer desperate to keep connections that drain you. You no longer chase those who walk away. You understand that not everyone is meant to stay, and that is not a tragedy. It is alignment. Because staying alone in truth is better than being surrounded by people who smile in your face and doubt your soul. It is better to walk a hard path alone than to walk a crooked one with company that distracts, derails, or dilutes your vision. There is peace in knowing that you don't need to be surrounded to feel supported. You don't need a crowd to feel confident. Real strength is forged in isolation, in silence, in self-reflection. And once you've tasted the power of your own presence, you no longer fear solitude. You welcome it. Because in that quiet space, you are free. You are honest. You are awake. The heart is not just an emotional center. It is a sacred space. Within it lives your deepest truth, your purest intentions, your most vulnerable self. And yet, so many treat it casually, allowing anyone to come close, to touch it, to influence it without first asking whether they are deserving. In a world where people wear masks with ease, where words are used more to manipulate than to express, protecting your heart is not a sign of being cold. It is a sign of understanding its value. You do not hand a fragile, priceless object to strangers. You protect it, you honor it, and you guard it from harm. People often confuse openness with weakness. They see kindness as permission. The more compassionate you are, the more some feel entitled to take from you. They take your time without appreciation, your trust without respect, your love without reciprocation. And over time, this taking leaves marks, not just on your mind, but on your spirit. You become cautious, more reserved, more selective. This change is not bitterness, it is wisdom. It is the natural result of being burned by hands that pretended to be gentle. There are people who will come close just to see how far they can reach. They don't want your well-being. They want access. They want to feel important by being close to your light, even if they don't truly respect its source. These are the ones who speak well in front of you, but twist your story when you're not around. They smile, not because they care, but because it keeps them close enough to take more. They listen, not to understand you, but to collect information they can later use. If your heart is open to everyone, these are the people who will enter, and they will not treat that space with care. That is why the heart must be protected like a sacred flame. It cannot burn for everyone. It cannot offer warmth to those who only come to extinguish it. You must choose who sits near your fire. Some will come to warm themselves, others to steal the fire, and some to watch it burn out. Learn to tell the difference, not through what people say, but through how they move, how they stay, how they respond to your boundaries. Those who truly care will honor your space. They will not force entry. They will not guilt you into access. They will respect that trust takes time, and love requires depth. The strongest people are not the ones who give everything freely. They are the ones who know what they carry and choose where it goes. They are the ones who understand that love without limits invites harm, that kindness without clarity invites misuse, that trust without testing invites betrayal. So they remain kind but not naive, open but not vulnerable to manipulation, available but only to those who earn their place with honesty, with consistency, with integrity. Your heart is not a public place. It is a temple, a place where only the worthy should be allowed to enter. And worthiness is not about perfection. It is about intention. If someone enters with care, with patience, with a willingness to give as much as they take, that is the kind of presence that deserves to stay. But if someone pushes, pressures, or pretends, they must be kept at the gates, not with hate, but with discernment. You were not born to be broken by careless hands. You were not made to be drained by people who only take. The heart you carry is powerful, but even power must be guarded, not hidden away in fear, but protected with wisdom. Because the more sacred the thing, the more carefully it must be treated. And not everyone has the hands to hold something sacred. The world is full of faces, full of voices, full of people who claim to care, but few who truly stand by you with honesty, without agenda, without condition. Through pain, through betrayal, through silence and solitude, you begin to see clearly. You begin to understand that not everyone who walks beside you deserves to stay beside you. Trust must be earned, loyalty must be proven, and your heart must be guarded like the sacred flame it is. There is strength in stillness, wisdom in solitude, and peace in walking alone when the company is false. You do not need a crowd, you need clarity. You do not need everyone to like you. You need to like the life you are choosing. So stay awake, stay aware, and remember, your energy is precious, your trust is powerful, and your heart is not for everyone.